everyone, it's Angelica here talking about how you can change your habits. I wanted to come live because I really want to help somebody here who is stuck perhaps in a physical, mental, emotional habit loop that they want to change. Perhaps they know what it is, the habit that they are practicing that no longer serve them, and what it is, the habit that they want to create in their lives. You know, yesterday I talked about, somebody talked about a habit of feeling hopelessness around finding a new partner. And today I would love to hear from you if there is anything that you are going through at the moment, any habit that you are thinking to yourself, I know I need to change that. You know, there is so many videos around, you know, those are the 6 habits that have changed my life. Those are the habits that I've, had to let go to create a new life. I do believe we are a sum of habits. And if we want to change our life, everything that is outside of us, we need to change what we do. Not only with our physical body, but we also need to change our thinking and our feeling. Okay, so it's not only about exercise and diet and meditation and sleep and physical things, but it's also about the way you think, the way that things outside of you make you feel. So that is also a habit that we don't realize that it's kind of running on the background. And before you know, you just reacting to the world in the same way over and over again. We have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And 95% of those thoughts today are the same as the ones yesterday. Okay, so that is really, this is scientifically proven, that's really a cue that the way that we're thinking, the way that we are feeling, it is the same way if we don't create a new habit. Okay, so if you have any habits that you are working on at the moment that you are struggling to change completely, I would love to hear from you so I can take you through a process, a simple process. I love simplifying things, so because there is so much information out there and there is so much overwhelm around, should I do this or should I do that? There is things to change can be so simple. Okay, so if you've got something, a habit that you want to change, and deep down that you have been thinking, feeling, or doing, but deep down that you need to change that. I felt like that, but I felt so stuck, and for me, I needed a stage 3 bowel cancer to wake me up. I do what I do. Oh, I love that. I'm trying to stop eating chocolate. Jordan, thank you so much. So that is a habit that I can say from even personal experience, and I have worked with people. Chocolate is something that I feel it's everywhere, right? You go to the supermarket, is at the end of the aisle, you're like, I'm just gonna grab a little bit here. And when you eat the chocolate, it makes you, it's almost like an explosion, like an orgasm in your body and your mind, like, oh my God, this is just so delicious, right? Now, the reality is, it has been proven scientifically that sugar is addictive. So they have done research around with rats, they put sugar here and they put cocaine there, and they wanted to see where the rats would go back to. And the truth is, the rats have gone back more to the sugar than to the cocaine. So, but we don't want to see sugar as that, because sugar is sold legally everywhere, right? So, in sugar drinks, it's a major thing, right? Like in one tin of Coca-Cola, you could have like 9 teaspoons of sugar. Okay, so that is a lot. In all of the drinks that you buy in the supermarket, there'll be a ton of sugar in it. All of those like iced teas, things that like the energy drinks and all of that. And there is the hidden sugars on things like tomato sauce and sauces and things like that. But chocolate is something that we know that, of course, there is sugar in chocolate, right? And I think that there is a few components on eating sugar. So the first one is a lot, and I have seen that in clients, people eat sugar when they feel physically exhausted all the time. Okay, so they get into a habit of eating chocolate to boost their physical energy. And now, there is something that, if you wake up tired or that pick up in the afternoon, that you're like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. So you just eat a chocolate. So Jordan, I would love to know from you, when do you eat the chocolate? Is it all the time? Is it when, is it in a particular occasion, when you get stressed, for example, when it is the time that you eat sugar? I think that is a key thing for us to understand here, so we can understand how you have formed that habit. Okay, so I'll tell you, for myself, I used to eat sugar at work when people would have like when I used to work in corporate, chocolate in the middle of the afternoon, and I used to eat there. Or after my kids would go to bed, and I'll be like, oh my God, it's time to relax, and I would watch crap TV and I would eat chocolate. Okay, so I created a habit because I linked that the mid-afternoon with the boost of energy that I needed, because I was so exhausted before cancer. And the evening one, that was my treat. That would distress me. So I linked that, eating chocolate, with that. That is my pleasure. That is what will distress me. So Jordan, I would love to know from you what it is what at what time of the day, or how does that happen for you in regards to eating chocolate? I can't see here Jordan saying anything, so I'll keep going with the physical. So physically, what I would think about is like, okay, so am I eating chocolate because I am constantly exhausted, and I see as I've created this habit thinking, okay, if I eat chocolate, then I will feel more energy. Okay, so understanding how you form the habit is really important, because then you understand at what time you eat and how you are doing that whole thing, okay, that whole process. So now, if you want to change that habit, okay, so I'll give an example for the eating chocolate, for example, at work. It would be having a replacement for that chocolate, because you can't control what other people do, right? So if you're in corporate, most likely people always have cakes. There is always somebody bringing some sweets or something. So you can't control that. And your plan can't involve what other people do. It can only involve what you do. Okay? So the changing that habit will be to bring something from home, a piece of fruit or a treat that you could cook yourself, make yourself. I make all my treats. They're very easy, they're delicious, and I don't use any refined sugar or anything like that. Okay? So it would be just, okay, so this is what I am gonna eat when I feel exhausted and when I have that crash in the afternoon, or when I feel like eating the chocolate. Our brain, if you don't give our brain something else to do, will default into doing what you know. Okay? Because 95% of what we do is automatically. So it's on our subconscious mind. So you're not aware. So before you know, if you don't have a replacement, you're just going to go there and you're just going to eat the chocolate. Okay? So if you're eating chocolate at home, like I did in the evening, so the first thing to do, the plan is not to buy the chocolate, because people have a crazy idea to think like, oh, Angelica, but you are very self-disciplined. No, I'm not. If my cupboard is full of chocolate and sweets and ice cream and soft drinks, if I'm hungry, I will eat that. But I don't have that in my cupboard anymore. So when you don't have that in your cupboard anymore, then you know that it's impossible for you to eat. So if I feel like eating something that is a sweet, I make my own treats. I make my own treats with banana, with dates, with nuts and like different things that come from nature, not processed sugar. Okay? So then you have to replace that habit. So what would you do in the evening instead of eating the chocolate? First thing, you don't have the chocolate anymore, so you can make your own treats, or you can eat a piece of fruit again, different types of fruit. I mean, I live in Australia. Like, eating a mango for me is much better than eating a chocolate. the other day I ate a pineapple, it was so sweet. There was more sweet than sweets. So you need to start planning in advance, what are you going to do instead? So your mind doesn't go down to the root of, I'm just doing what I know. Okay? And then after you plan what your plan, what your plan is. Okay, so I'm no longer going to be exposed to chocolate because, when I am exposed to chocolate, I have a tendency to eat. I'm going to have a plan in place. I'm going to eat something before I get hungry. I'm going to bring my stuff from home, or I'm not going to buy stuff from, and leave in my pantry. Yes, I eat a plant-based diet. Yes. Jeremy, you ask me. And the next thing that you need to do is rehearsal in your head what you're going to do. Okay? So I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be hard. You're at work, people bring the cakes, right? And you're going to be like, oh my God, this cake's so delicious. I have been there. I have been there. You're like, this is delicious, but I'm deciding today I am not going to eat that. Actually, I decided yesterday because you've already had made a decision, because that no longer serves me. That's not what I want to put in my body. So, but you have the replacement, you have your piece of fruit and you eat that. So the first time is going to be hard. So then the rehearsal in your head is you rehearsal in your head before you get to work, this is going to happen and this is what I'm going to do. So your mind doesn't get confused when you are there in that situation. Okay? I have been there in situations, when I decided not to eat processed sugar or biscuits or things like that. There was that first time that you go to a birthday party and there will be cake, there will be chocolate, there will be biscuits. And you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to get there. There will be all of these things that I used to eat, but I have decided I'm no longer eating that. So what am I going to eat? Or there will also always be a plate of fruit, so I'll eat that. So when you rehearse, your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what you have just thought. So if you are rehearsing in your head, when you get to that situation, it will be much, much easier. Okay? After you rehearse all that, then you have to practice. And you have to see each opportunity as an opportunity to practice. Okay? So what it is that you, whatever you are, I'm just still looking here to see if Jordan has said anything about stop eating chocolate. So when you start practicing that, every time you go to work, you're saying no to the chocolate and the cakes and the biscuits. Every time you go to a party, you're saying no. Because I can tell you one thing, and I tell this to my kids. Okay, my kids are 11 and 9, and they understand very well all about nutrition. I've changed not only my diet, but their diet. My kids are very conscious about how to treat their bodies. They're very conscious about eating things that are made with processed sugar. They don't drink any sugary drinks. And for them, they understand that. Okay, so sugar is addictive. There is no point in you thinking you have the control of something that is addictive. Okay, sugar is just a drug that is legally sold in shops. Okay, so that is it. It's been proven scientifically. It is addictive. It releases a feeling, a chemical in your brain that makes you feel, I want more of that. I want more of that. I want more of that. It's a physical addiction. And then once you get there, a little bit of chocolate doesn't do it. You need more to get the same high. So once you recognize that, especially when you do have a problem with sugar, right? If you can say, put your hand up, like I had to do it, I binge on sugar. I binge on sugar. I have got no control. I know that if I start buying chocolate, I'm going to eat a little bit more every single day. So then you know that every day is an opportunity for you to practice. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. So now, is it hard for me to say no to chocolate, to sugar, to cakes, to biscuits? No, it's not. Because I have been practicing that for 6 years. Okay, practice makes you perfect. Okay, Monica, I don't know. You talked about what do you see for me in a relationship with Tyler. I'm not entirely sure what that question is about, because I don't know who Tyler is. But if you guys have any other questions around addiction to sugar, we're talking here about chocolate, but we can talk about sugar in general. I'd love to answer them. If you feel stuck in any, in that rut, there is a lot of people addicted to sugar these days. In actual fact, as we're talking about this, if you want to send me your email address, I can send you a PDF with 10 different things that you can do to stop your addiction to sugar. That's just, if you are in that place of understanding, acknowledge, and wanting to let that go. Sugar is incredibly inflammatory. This is the only reason why I stopped eating sugar, because sugar creates inflammation in our bodies, and I had stage 3 bowel cancer. Cancer is created by inflammation. It starts with inflammation, and I no longer could afford to have inflammation in my body. That is the only reason why I stopped eating sugar. So if you have any questions around that, I'd love to answer them. But if not, I will see you on the next one. Take care.